You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DAHLIA, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, interestingly, one of my listeners, and I think many of you guys, are in the doghouse because you lost some change at Super Bowl. And we haven't talked about this yet, where some of you put money on the wrong team, or you did the pool or the grid or whatever. And now, you know, your family's like, what happened to the money? You lost how much on Super Bowl? Now, I won money, so I was happy, but I'm always sad I'm always sad after Super Bowl because I just love football season. My favorite time of year is fall and winter. You know, football season, and then you got Halloween, you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, so I already start to get a little sad in January, but the playoffs keep me going. And then we have Super Bowl, and then it just ends, especially when it's kind of a boring Super Bowl. And then it's one drastic drop. And every year I go on Facebook, and I'm like, guys, now what? And they're like, basketball. And so I've really gotten into basketball, so I'm good. All right. And then, you know, you got hockey, and you got, now we got the Olympics. So I've been able to do well. I was feeling a little bit down yesterday because of my friend who died, and so I asked people to, you know, send some jokes and some funny jokes, and some of the jokes really stunk, but I said you could do dad jokes, but it was good. It made me laugh. I'm good. Watch some basketball. UNLV won, so I'm okay. But some of you guys are not okay because you got some splaining to do. You lost some heavy, heavy money. And so what do you do? How do you make up with the spouse? What do you do? Well, here's the thing. Having been a part of a family with a gambler. My dad gambled, and he lost money, and we were devastated a lot. And that's why I went to 12 schools. We had to keep moving. His gambling habit was very, very caustic and very disruptive. And so the first thing you need to do is to convince your spouse and wife or family, husband, that this isn't a thing. All right. You need to prove to them that it was just Super Bowl. You're not on an app, sports betting, and losing the family fortune. And boy, are we getting inundated with live betting apps. Live betting apps are cool. I've won money because of live betting apps. But I'm telling you guys, don't go there if you have an addictive personality. If you don't think you could hold your wallet, don't do it. Because you will lose that money. The house knows how to take your money. And so if it was a one-time thing, right, then you want to prove to the family, look, I don't bet. That was it. I'm not betting. I don't bet on other things. It was Super Bowl. This is why. This is the decision I made. Well, all my friends were throwing money in, and I didn't want to, upset them because everybody had to put money in a pool, and I knew that money would help somebody who won it. We knew that it would go to a good cause, or, just walk them through your thinking. And also be honest. Say, look, my buddy won this money, won X amount of money. I wanted to bring home a win. This is why I did it. It's not because I'm a bad person. It's not because I'm addictive. It's just I thought that this would be a good win for us. And I wanted to take you guys to dinner, or I wanted to use it for a trip. I learned my lesson. Number 2, most spouses and family want to make sure you learned your lesson and you don't do it again. Now, I'm always going to bet on Super Bowl, especially since I was lucky this time around. But listen, I understand the medical, predictions predicted differently. But I could have done some side bets because I really thought the right shoulder was going to be an issue compared to the oblique, but that was a whole nother issue. But anyway, I had futures, so that's why I was kind of lucky because I put the bets in early. But again, I wouldn't recommend don't bet because if you're not savvy and you're prone to losing, it's not good. And I don't mind once in a while sports betting. But if you lost and you lost big, you got to rethink things. All right? Yeah, I mean, even if it means not going to the Super Bowl party. I mean, Super Bowl parties have alcohol, and a lot of people are like, I don't want the alcohol. Well, then you might have to rethink how you're doing Super Bowl. Unfortunately, if you have a vulnerability, you're going to have to address that. Number 3, make up what got lost. So if you did, let's say you lost $500, okay, and wife's pretty pissed, okay, and she should be. Let's say you lost $500 on Super Bowl, all right, or $100, whatever. Show her how you're going to get the money back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack my lunch. I'm not going to buy my morning coffee. I'm going to take the bus instead of the car, save on gas, and I will make this up to you and show you that I got that money back. Don't buy me anything for Valentine's Day or for my birthday, whatever, and we will get that money back and I'll make it up. That, I think, can actually help a lot, because whenever, let's say Corey and I fight about something, I don't want to just yell. I want to improve the situation so it doesn't happen again. What could we do positively? How could I turn this into something positive? So if you're in the doghouse, that's how you could turn it into something positive. Say, not only am I going to get our money back, not by gambling, but by saving, but if I can figure out how to get this money back and save, I'm actually going to save even more. Let me hit that $500 goal and then keep going. And, save money this way. I think this is going to be a wake-up call, and this might be a blessing in disguise, because now I'm going to make some cuts so we save money. And I got to tell you, if you're working to save money, I'd actually then not be gambling anymore. If you have a gambling problem, get that checked out. Number 4, if you do struggle with gambling addiction, 1, get the flippin' app off your phone. Get FanDuel, Dual, whatever all those apps are, STN, whatever. Get it the hell, DraftKings, get it off your phone. You have to. All right. If you're a part of a fantasy football thing or whatever. All right. And there's other ways to do gifts. You could do gift certificates. You don't have to gamble cash. But if you do have an issue, get yourself some help. But like I said, there's a way to salvage it. Okay. Hey, you don't have to be in the doghouse. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years, stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
And let's rock and roll. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I think it's time for the media. It's time for politicians. It's time for everybody to take it down a bunch of notches. We're now being told that a man in Texas ends up shooting his daughter over an argument about politics. Lucy Harrison, according to New York Post, was visiting from the UK. She died from her gunshot wounds after she was shot in the chest January 10th of 2025 in her father's home in Prosper, Texas, 35 miles north of Dallas. Her dad, Chris Harrison, had moved to the U.S. when his daughter was a child. He apparently said he did suffer from alcoholism, drank 3 glasses of wine on the day of the shooting. Kills his daughter? The death was initially being investigated as a possible manslaughter, but no criminal charges have been brought after a grand jury decided not to indict him. Now, I'm sure we're going to be getting more information on this, but they say the argument started when the daughter pressed her father about an unspecified hypothetical scenario regarding a woman who had been sexually assaulted. Apparently, she asked her father, how would you feel if I was the girl in that situation and I'd been sexually assaulted? And so they went back and forth, and I guess she got upset. And, he said some mean things like, he wouldn't be upset if she was assaulted, because he's got other daughters. He said something stupid, allegedly. She gets mad at him, understandably so, storms upstairs. And then, as I guess, right before they were going to leave for the airport, Lucy's father took her hand into his bedroom and then, shoots her. Not sure what the heck happened. I guess family heard a loud bang. We're going to get more details on this, but the one thing that we do know is that people are taking politics way too flippin' seriously. Now, maybe I'm biased because, I'm Gen X. I remember when Clinton ran against Bob Dole, Bill Clinton. I voted for Bill Clinton. Me and all my college friends did. We didn't know much about politics. We just thought Clinton was cool. Yeah. Like cigars. Who knows? He came to our campus. I was like, all right, well, whatever. Then there was the Al Gore Bush election, which was really, really close. I just don't remember people being diehard. And I remember one patient was really depressed and said he was really, really depressed that Bush won. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know much about the two candidates, but, why are you really, don't be depressed about that. There's so much to live for. And luckily he never committed suicide. But I'm like, are people getting suicidal over this? But it was rare that somebody was taking politics that seriously. Then you had Obama and McCain. And with Obama, people were starting to freak out about what he was going to do to health care. And I was like, guys, listen, I like both candidates. I really hope Obama doesn't screw up healthcare. I'm a little nervous about what he's, coming up with. But I don't know if McCain has a better answer. But healthcare is a problem. And then I just didn't. What Obama did to healthcare, owie. But I blame Sebelius, Pelosi. I blame the architects of the Affordable Care Act because that was a cluster and a seventh. But still, people were, getting, a little bit more divided. And maybe it's just because I was so busy that maybe politics has always been deadly. I understand people shot JFK and they shot, they shot presidents before. Just, I just didn't think people were going at it. If there was somebody in my family who said they voted for Obama or they voted for McCain, good for you. I voted for Trump. I voted for Biden. Okay. But why is it now I'm hearing from friends that they can't even talk to family members at dinner. And they have to avoid, the conversations are so awkward because everything comes back to politics. I'm like, why? If somebody told me they liked Kamala Harris or they liked Trump or they liked whatever, okay, that's who you like. You're a Dallas Cowboy fan, love you. You're a Steelers fan, I still love you. I mean, we have a right to choose. Am I missing something? This is America. Don't we want multiple parties? We don't want to be single party rule. If you're American, you're excited about that. We get to vote. We get to see what people want. We get to, we want the candidates to obviously represent us. We don't want them, not representing us and being, just completely crazy. We want representation. But boy, I mean, it is getting so bad. And I keep hearing from people that Republicans will never win again after this next election if the Democrats win. And you hear from the Democrats saying Republicans will never let them win. And I'm like, whoa, guys, come on, bring down the rhetoric. But then you start to see what these politicians are doing, where they're like, well, we're not going to let any Republican win a congressional seat in California. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. Okay, there's got to be representation of Republicans and Democrats in every state. I understand this red state, blue state. I can't stand red state, blue state. Okay, we're Americans. And many of us also, your Kennedy Democrats were different from your Clinton Democrats, who were different from your Obama Democrats, who were different from your Biden Democrats. Democratic Party has evolved, just like the Republican Party. But it's just gotten bad. This really, to me, reached ultimate ridiculousness when one of my friends who's gay was asked by, I guess the person didn't know he was gay. And he supported Trump. And so this coworker, I think it was a coworker, said, okay, so you're a homophobe. You're anti-gay. He's like, say what? Well, you support Trump, so you're anti-gay. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm gay. And I mean, the person looked shocked. But he's like, where did you make that? So if you support somebody, you're now gay. So Mamdani. A lot of people support Mamdani. If you support Mamdani, listen, if that's what you want in New York, do I like the anti-Semitic, anti-Israel rhetoric? No, not at all. But if you told me you supported Mamdani, the first thing I wouldn't be thinking about is that you're an anti-Semite. I'm thinking more you like his socialist ideology. And that's a choice you're making. Now, if you told me, yeah, I like Mamdani because I don't like Israel, okay, then you and I may have a problem. But if you're choosing, I'm not going to assume you're an I'm not going to assume you're anti this or that. I mean, Mamdani I believe he's Islamic. And so I'm not going to think that you're anti-gay if you're an anti-LGBTQ, AI+, if you support him, because he supports, Hamas or whatever, who is anti-gay. But that's how the media is putting you, if you're not with us, you're against us. If you don't vote for Biden or Kamala Harris, you're racist. If you're not, and and individuals, right, who are black and Latino and all that, they're looking at this going, come on, really? I mean, when you look at the immigration issue, all right, nobody is more pro legal immigration than the Latino community. The Latino community is not pro illegal immigration and porous borders and cartel members getting in. They support, legal immigration because that's how they got here. That's how my dad got here. I mean, this is how people, we want to support legal immigration. And if an illegal immigrant or criminal that came across the border hurts the legal immigrants' pathway, you want to protect legal immigrants to be able to come in, because now look at what happened. Now the border is secure, but now fewer people are coming in. And so the average person who is pro-immigrant wants legal immigration. But now they're saying, well, if you vote for a secure border, you are anti-Latino. And the Latinos are like, don't be stereotyping us as illegal immigrants. We're legal, and we want the legal pathway. And so it's gotten to be a mess, and it might work itself out, because a lot of individuals are like, wait a second, okay, the stereotypes are ridiculous. It's insulting what you're calling us if we're voting for somebody else. Not cool. We're American, and Americans support a democratic process where we get to vote for who we want. Don't be saying I'm anti this, and this when you're supporting Israel, and Israel is so supportive of LGBTQ communities, and and so which is more anti-LGBTQ, supporting Hamas or supporting Israel? Come on, man. And so I think the media wants this divide. They want the hate. People want to hate. And so they're coming up with reasons. And now we're at the point where family members are shooting each other. Who cares who you voted for? It doesn't reflect. It's not supposed to reflect on you. But that's what society is trying to make this out to be. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So we learned that yesterday there was a horrible mass shooting at a Canadian school, the Tumber Ridge Secondary School, and 9 are killed. We believe it was another student. Canadians are obviously in shock. They say 7 people were killed at the school in remote British Columbia, and then 2 others were killed at a nearby home. A woman who police believe was the shooter was found dead, apparently from a self-inflicted wound. The motive is unclear. We're being told that the suspect wore a dress. I don't know much about the suspect, but unfortunately, it's leaving a country reeling, and we're just in shock. A 12-year-old girl is fighting for her life right now. She was shot in the head and neck. Her name is Maya Gabala, and she was one of the victims. But I mean, thank God she's alive. But according to her mom, Sia Edmonds, she's critically wounded. She was airlifted to Vancouver's Children's Hospital. She says, today started as any other. Now, however, my 12-year-old daughter is fighting for her life while they try to repair the damage from a gunshot wound to the head and one to the neck. She was a lucky one, I suppose. Condolences to the other families during this tragedy. This doesn't even feel real, she says. I never thought I would be asking for prayers, but please pray for my baby. So tragic. Now, the family said that she was hit by shrapnel during the shooting. Unknown how she was hit and how much damage was done. There's a GoFundMe now for Maya. I'll find it and post it. But just absolutely shocking. We don't have the ages of the victims. Apparently, the families are still being notified according to Canadian privacy laws. But you see kids walk out, with their hands up, in a line to safety. And apparently, Tumbler Ridge is in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies, about 736 miles north of Vancouver. And town councilors have called it an incredibly safe community. It has lakes and rivers and waterfalls and hiking trails. And it's just a gorgeous area. The secondary school enrolls 175 students, and its elementary school is now going to be closed. Obviously, this and its elementary school are closed for the week. The police are still investigating the connection between the shooters and the victims. I thought we were told yesterday in a preliminary report that the shooter was a prior student, but we're still learning. More than 25 people total were wounded, 2 with life-threatening injuries, including Maya. The village of 2,700 people is near the provincial border with Alberta. And, as we're trying to get more information, they say the attack was Canada's deadliest rampage since 2020, when a gunman in Nova Scotia killed 13 people and set fires that led another 9 dead. So flags are at half staff, and we'll keep you posted. There's a lot of parents that look at these things and say, I'm done sending my kids to school. When you heard the heartbreaking, like the Vivaldi school shooting, where it was the last day of school, and there was a school program, and one of the kids, the victims, before the parents left, said, can I just go home with you now? I don't want to go back to class. And the parents like, no, you got to finish school. Any one of us would have said that to our kid. And then she ended up dying in the Vivaldi school shooting. A lot of parents have been homeschooling now, whether it was the vaccines, whether it was thinking that schools can't keep their kids safe. Now, and we keep thinking, well, it's only, my kid goes to a safe area. This area is a safe area. It's not safe when you have somebody with severe mental illness. And in fact, in some of these remote rural communities, may be a prime location for some of these unfortunate, disgusting individuals that want to shoot people up, because people's guard is down. You're not going to see New York City necessarily somebody want to do that, because New York City's expecting it. There's lots of cops everywhere. There's, you don't see this in Israel, because Israel is always on guard, always, protecting their kids. But when you have a community going, nobody, we don't have crime, nothing like this happens here, and then something like this happens. I mean, we want to know the motive. We want to know who did the shooting. We want to know what's going on. I know there's a lot of people suggesting that it's, somebody who, dressed up as a woman and wasn't a woman. And until we know, we got to be careful, and we got to, our work needs to pivot on how to prevent the next shooter. We want to identify who is going to be the next shooter. Now, nobody wants to profile. Nobody wants to falsely accuse. But the only way to prevent another school shooting is to look at the signs, try to pick up on it. And people are pretty private. We think, well, let's just watch social media. And there might be some individuals who will, right before they do it, go on social media and put a cryptic message. And if you do see something like that, you need to jump on that immediately. But many individuals, they don't. They don't want to advertise it. They just want to go and do what they're doing and get the job done. Like the one who tried to assassinate Thomas Crooks, the one that tried to assassinate the president. I mean, he didn't have a big social media following. I mean, I think he might have been on Discord a little bit. I don't know. But, many of these individuals, they don't have a big social network. They don't. They keep to themselves. They may suffer and they may struggle. They may hate people, and that's why they want to kill people. So they're harder to find. So we have to then look to the family. If you have a family member that hates people, that fantasizes about killing people, you find their drawings. That looks like, just like with that one kid in the Michigan school that was drawing about killing other kids. You're going to have to report it and get that person help. Now, I know the average parent's like, oh, my kid would never, my kid would never forgive me. Well, look at Adam Lanza. Adam Lanza shot up Sandy Hook, kills his mom before he could do it. Okay? I mean, you're going to be dead too. You need to intervene. And you can approach it, different ways. If you don't know how to approach it, just have the authorities approach it. They know how to approach it. But, it doesn't have to be, I'm calling the police on you because I think you're going to shoot. You could say, look, I'm seeing some of they say, it looks like, you're struggling and there are people that are hurting you that you don't like. What are these people doing to you? Who's hurting you? Or why do you feel hurt? What's happening? And they may talk about it. If they don't want to talk about it, say, I want to get you to somebody who can talk about it with you because I'm looking at, some of your writings and your pictures. Don't look at my stuff. Okay. But, I'm just noticing, I just want to make sure you're not struggling and that we're helping you. Now, if you think that kid has, a mental disorder and mental illness, and you're going to then have to get authorities involved. But, I know parents don't want their kid to hate them. But if their kid is dead because of a self-inflicted gunshot wound or they were shot by police because they were killing others, all right, it doesn't matter what that kid thinks of you. All right, you have got to save them and you got to save others. And so, it doesn't have to be. Now, listen, kids always hate their parents at some point. They'll always. Now, I know a lot of parents are like, well, I don't want my kids to kill me like they killed Rob Reiner and Maria. I get that. But if you're really that afraid that your child's going to kill you, the kid's got to be out of the house. The kid's they need help. If you really think your kid's going to kill you, come on. All right. It's beyond saving the relationship. And I see that so much, with domestic disputes. So like, well, I don't want to anger him. As long as I don't anger him, nothing bad's going to happen. Well, if you really fear what a person's going to be like when they're angry, they're going to get angry. Something's going to anger them. I mean, I lived for years with somebody who I just, no, I'm like, okay, they're in a good mood. They're in a good mood. I'm not going to get beat. Nothing's going to happen. And then the wind changed direction. And really? So understand that you're beyond what you could do. You got to get help. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So some of you may have children who want to be activists and or grandkids or nieces or nephews. And you're thinking to yourself, do they need some guidance? Everybody needs guidance. All kids need guidance. Absolutely. And it's very, very common for your kids to want to support a cause. That's going to happen. I think that's very, very important. And so one thing you might want to do is if you think your kids are going to be wrapped up in some of the more fringe things. Like, I guess in California, there was this national walkout, and the kids were told to leave school to protest ICE. And you're thinking, oh my God, I don't want them to get into, an issue where they could, accidentally get stuck in a riot or arrested or shot or whatever. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, wait a second. Whether you want them to protest ICE or not, you're thinking to yourself, who's getting to my kids? Kids need a cause. And I think it's healthy for them to have a cause about pets, pet rescue, things like that. And it doesn't have to be your cause. But the first thing I recommend is before, people get to them, and because the kids, they know, are an untapped commodity in terms of numbers, in terms of activism, getting them to walk out of school, and some teachers letting that happen, our kids are going to be recruited. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a second, if they could be recruited by certain extreme groups, what about ISIS? What about Al-Qaeda? You're right to think that. All right, kids are very impressionable, right? And they want to do right. They want to change the world. They want to fix the world. So what I would recommend early on, okay, before people get to them, is help your child come up with a cause. See, my kids always saw that I was very pro blood donation. Now they're like, I don't like donating blood. I go, you don't have to be a part of that. But if you want to be a part of saving lives, there's things we could do. And, we would do, during Superstorm Sandy, we collected goods. And so I always worked with them on charity. They go and feed the homeless. They do they work with the Gentlemen's League to feed, they go to the shelter and feed homeless and things like that. And so I got my kids involved early on with, not because I was afraid that they would get recruited, but I was like, I just thought it was important that a part of your day needs to be about helping people, or, your life needs to be about helping people. Because I remember one of them was like, Mom, I don't know if I could be a doctor. And I'm like, you don't have to be a doctor. They're like, but you help people. I mean, I don't want to go into another they were really young. I don't want to go into another, you wake up every day and help people. Your dad wakes up every day and helps people. I go, you can help people in so many different ways. Do what you love, support yourself, because you're no good to anybody if you're starving and unemployed. All right. And then you could donate, you could volunteer, you'll help people. And so I taught them early on. And so if there's a cause that they get excited about and they're a part of, that's already going to scratch a lot of that itch. So get your kids involved in a cause. Doesn't have to be religious, doesn't have to be political, just something that you think they're going to, and part of it is let them choose and say, look, there's food banks that are always looking for help. There's this. Now, luckily, some schools recommend that. See, the problem is when it's mandatory, it's not fun. So I would teach medical students. I'm like, guys, come up with something you want to do. A self-help book. If you come up with it on your own, it's going to mean so much more to you. And then it doesn't look forced. You put it on your resume. So I think all of us need to be thinking of that anyway. But for these kids, it's really, really important, especially going into high school. And then what to do if your kid wants to become an activist and go, well, I want to protest the police. I want to protest ICE. I want to protest the climate. I want to protest this. I want to protest this. Okay, well, one is you first want to, let the kid know, because they're going to think, okay, they're just anti this, so I can't tell them. I have to hide doing it. You don't want them to hide. You want to know what they're doing. So you want to be non-judgmental. Okay, because otherwise they're going to be sneaking out and doing things. And so you want to, say, look, feeling strongly about something and wanting to help, that's a good thing. All right. But, I want to kind of warn you of some of the risks. Okay. If you think protesting ICE is a good thing, you could be actually hurting the legal immigrants that went through the legal pathway. You could actually be misunderstood as to what you're doing there, and then it looked like you're an anti-police, anti-this. So you want to be very careful. You know, there are so many ways to help protect, you know, criminal illegals or illegal immigrants that didn't follow the pathway. There's things you could do for them, but, you know, well, ice kills. And I'm like, well, you know, they're people are saying, you know, police kill. They say doctors kill. You can't have people go into the operation. You know, protesters need to be in a safe area. And then you want to also tell the kids, you got to be safe. If you engage an armed officer, you could get shot. My grandfather told me that. Don't scratch your ass, don't whatever. If they tell you to freeze, you freeze. You stay away from an armed officer if they are in an operation. I mean, that's common sense. So teach your kids about common sense. You know, if they say, well, yeah, ICE kills, and you could say, well, then you don't want to be near then an ICE agent, do you? If that's what you think they do. You don't want to engage in them. You don't want to come up to them with a gun. I feel really, really bad that we lost an ICU nurse, Alex Preddy. I don't want to see anybody die, but don't go up to an armed officer armed and get into a scuffle. Stay away. Go to a peaceful area to protest. You know, marches are wonderful. You know, that's what Martin Luther King did. But you know, be very careful, because if you're going to be asked to do something dangerous, you're going to get hurt. And hopefully you'll have a relationship with your kid where they could talk to you about it. But if they're going to sneak out and do things, that could be pretty scary, especially if they get themselves in trouble. I mean, Shea McAnanis, I hope I pronounced his name, was an officer that got shot in the head during a Black Lives Matter protest. That was, I think, the last Black Lives Matter protest in Vegas, after an officer that was just being there to protect people gets shot in the head. You know, and it didn't help the cause. That wasn't, you know, it was, and so, you know, you need to explain, look, I know you're being asked to do this. And I know this is something that you and your friends want to do, and you feel like you want to, but understand this could be dangerous. This could affect you in the future, because it could make you look like you're anti-immigrant. It could make it look like you're anti-first responder, you could get hurt. So marching is one thing, but if you're going to get involved with that, you understand there's going to be consequences, and you could actually get arrested. There were medical students that reached out to me saying, I was at a Black Lives Matter protest that turned into a riot. How do I can I still get into medical school? And I'm like, well, did anybody catch pictures? Were you a part of the rioting? I don't know. You know, you have every right to peacefully protest, but if you at all are going to be perceived to have done criminal activity, that could hurt your chances. So, you know, you want to educate your kids, but try to talk to your kids before it gets to that point. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.